All right. So today is October 15th, 2019. This is going to be recommendations fundamentals. So, recommendation fundamentals. I have several key points that I'm going to walk through. And so I encourage you to have pen and paper ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to start with the demo first, and I'm going to give you my couple of keys. I have three keys during the demo itself, and then I have several keys for the actual recommendation approach. Um, so, and then so I have a couple keys for the actual recommendation approach, and then I have a few keys once you're done with the recommendation approach. How do you qualify them and make sure that they could send the text message out and also do the Facebook post for you. So I have seven keys for the actual approach, and then a few extra keys after that. Cool. So let's start with before the demo. So during the demo, rapport and seed plant. So during the beginning of the appointment, you want to build rapport and seed plant with your customer. So what that means is like, Ms. Jones, so how do you know so and so? So say you're seeing someone who's a recommendation. So even if it's a friend of your mom, it's like, oh, so Miss Jane, how do you know my mom? Oh, nice. Yeah, my mom introduced me to a bunch of really nice people. Or Miss Jane, how do you know Susie? Oh, you know Susie from so and so? Oh my God, Miss Susie actually, I know Miss Susie from blank. So and so introduced me to Miss Susie, and Miss Susie introduced me to you. She also introduced me to so and so. Do you know so and so? Yeah, she introduced me to them. She introduced me to them. So a lot of people have been introduced to me to other friends and other family members and whatnot. So everyone's been really nice, and it's been awesome getting a chance to just introduce myself to all these great people and get introduced to some people. So at the end, yeah, I'll give you some information on how to do that as well, or I'll give you a chance to do that as well, something like that. So just seed planting through rapport, how people have been recommending you and introducing you to more people. Step number two is mention the sponsorship also in the beginning of your appointment. Oftentimes, representatives, it's like, surprise, I need recommendations at the end of the appointment. So they didn't mention anything during the actual presentation. So I like mentioning the sponsorship in the beginning where it's like, Miss Jones, I'll also tell you about a sponsorship at the end. It's actually free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it really helps me out a ton. It's just based on recommendations and introducing me to more people. I'll show you how to become a sponsor at the end. It's really, really simple. That's how actually I got introduced to you, is because Miss Jane was a sponsor. Something along those lines, that seed plant again the sponsorship and how important that sponsorship is, and that can help you towards some of your goals. Or if you want, you could use that sponsorship to raffle off and give it away to your customers. I'll talk about that in a moment. Number three, at the bottom of the company page, there's three little letters. It says DSA. And if you have a blue book in front of you, you could hold it up. But at the bottom of the company page, where the woman's sharpening the knives or making the knives, or depending on what blue book you have, there's three letters that say DSA, and that stands for Direct Selling Association. So the Direct Selling Association, all that means, Miss Jones, when I just point to the picture, just point to the DSA, all this DSA means is that we're not allowed to do any type of soliciting or cold calling or canvassing or randomly knocking on doors or anything like that, because it's really weird for me and it's really weird for customers. So because we're part of the DSA, it's just word of mouth, friends telling friends about me and about Cutco. So at the end of the appointment, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce me to some people, assuming you like me. And here's a really powerful phrase, okay? I'll give you two really powerful phrases. So the first powerful phrase is, somewhere in the beginning of the appointment, you say, Miss Jones, my goal is not to sell you everything in the book. My only goal is that if you like me and if you like Cutco and if I do a good job, is just to introduce me to as many people as possible. Because I'm not some knife sales girl. I'm not just some nice salesman. I'm actually doing this to meet as many people because I really just love showing it off. I love paying my way through school, or I love being a mom, or I love blank. And this is just an opportunity for me to meet a lot of people. In fact, my goal is to meet 1,000 new people this year. And so far, I've been introduced to 300. Whatever, something along those lines, something like that. That's a powerful phrase that you could add into the beginning of the appointment. And this is being recorded so you could just review it if you didn't get it down. The second powerful phrase is, Ms. Jones, there's been over 17 million people who purchased a set of Cutco. How many of those do you think already had a set of knives? Probably all of them, right? What's interesting is all 17 million were recommended to an appointment just like this by one of their friends or family members. So if you see some things you like, don't feel bad, you get it. And if you like me, feel free to introduce me to everyone. So these are just a few seed plans during the beginning of the appointment. So that way you can frame your customer's mind that it's like, okay, I'm going to be recommending you to people at the end if I like you.
So the key phrase was what?
So those were the two key phrases. First key phrase was, Ms. Jones, I'm not just some nice salesman. I'm not here to sell you everything in the book. My only goal is that if you like me, you like Cutco, and I do a good job, is to introduce me to as many people as possible, because this is how I'm going to meet 1,000 people. This is how I'm going to pay my way through school. So just if you like me, introduce me to people at the end. That's phrase number one. Phrase number two, Ms. Jones, out of 16, 17 million people who bought a set of Cutco, how many do you think already had knives? Yeah, all of them. And what's interesting, all of them were recommended to an appointment just like this. So it's only friends of friends. So again, if you want to introduce me to more people at the end, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. Now, it seems like it's a lot. It's like, man, isn't that a lot of seed plants? Well, how cool would it be if you get to the end of your appointment and they already have a list that they've already thought of 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people during the appointment. It just makes it easy to get recommendations at the end. So it takes a lot of the pressure off of the end of the appointment. So in case you botch up a recommendation approach, you still can walk away getting several. However, I'm going to give you some tips on how to not botch up your recommendation approach. So we're going to transition to that. I have 7 keys to the recommendation approach itself. So the first key of the recommendation approach, number 1, is asking a yes question. So the yes question is, Ms. Jones, do you remember that sponsorship I told you about in the beginning? With a head nod. And I want my customer to say yes, because I want to get them in the yes frame of mind. So I nod my head. Remember I was telling you about that sponsorship in the beginning? Yeah? Cool. That's number 1 key. Number 2 of the recommendation approach are 3 important words: very, really, and might. You want to overemphasize those 3 words: very, really, and might. Ms. Jones, there's one more very important part. And here's where you can really help me out, right? Then you go through the phrase, and really help me out. I get paid every time I show Cutco, and I call people I'm personally recommended to, so I need you to do. I'm cleaning up, shout down, and then land the joke. But the third one is might. I'm not necessarily looking for people who would buy, just people nice like you, or I'm sorry, 10, 20 people who might be nice enough to help me out. That's the might. Those are the 3 words. So very important part. Really help me out. 10 to 20 people who might be nice enough to help me out. Because that word very expresses urgency. Really expresses the importance. Those very and the really. And then the might takes the pressure off of definite. Most young people, when they're asking for recommendations, say, just jot down a few people you think would help me out. Jot down a few people who would sit down with me. Would is so much pressure on the customer to give a definite. People who will, when you say, Ms. Jones, can you write down people who would sit down with me? They don't have to buy, just people who would sit down with me or see my presentation. That means they have to put down people that they think would definitely say yes to you. If you emphasize the word might is emphasizing possibilities. So the response and reaction you're looking for is, Miss Jones, if you could jot down just people who might possibly help me out. The reaction you want to get from that is like, I'll give you a list. I don't know though. They might say yes, they might say no. That's exactly what you want. So you want to take the pressure off of definite and put it onto possibility. And that word might creates the environment for that. So very, really, and might. My third key. So first one is, do you remember with the yes? Get a yes answered. Number 2 is very, really, might. Number 3 is land the joke. You got to land the joke. And the joke of just jot down 200 to 300 people. I'm just kidding. So sometimes people don't land the joke. Sometimes reps say it too fast, or they just don't land it. So you want the art of telling a joke is the pause. Like you got to land it, land the joke. So this Miss Jones, just go ahead and just straight faced. Got to have a straight face. Miss Jones, just jot down 200 to 300. I'm just kidding. Just 10 to 20. So you got to pause, straight faced, and then break it with a big smile. Now, sometimes people will say the joke and they don't put a smile on their face. Just 200 to 300. Just kidding. I need 10. You didn't really land the joke either. You got to land the joke. So 2, and then the voice inflection, 2 to 300 people. So it almost sounds like you're going to say 2 to 3. So it throws them off. 2 to 300 people. I'm just kidding. Just 10 to 20. Now, this is also where you say people. You don't want to say people too many times. So you say 2 to 300 people. Just kidding. Just 10 to 20. That might be nice enough to help me out. So you don't say people too many times. So it's 2 to 300 people. Just kidding. Just 10 to 20. That might be able to help me out. So you don't say people twice. Just the 10 to 20. 2 to 300 people. Just kidding. Just 10 to 20. That might be nice enough to help me out. So land the joke. Number 4 is when it says, when you talk about the sponsorship, you got to have your binder set up. This is probably one of the most underestimated tools, is because what they see is what they're going to give you. I don't care if it's a live or a virtual. You need to make sure that they see a sheet filled up with 20 recommendations, because whatever they see is what they're going to give you. If they only see 10, they'll give you 10. If they see a list of 20, they're going to shoot for 20. If they see a list of 4, they're going to give you less. So you want to have your binder set up with sheets of recommendations that they can see. So that way when you say, Miss Jones, and the way that sponsorship works, that's when you open the binder. And the way the sponsorship works, open the binder, right? And the way the sponsorship works, open the binder so that way they see a list of recommendations. And that list has got to be 20. Highlighted at the 10, highlighted at the 20. Even if you make up your own sheet of 20, it's got to be a 20 that they see first. My next key, which would be, I guess, number 5, is you must have a high level of excitement for that sponsorship. They're not going to get more excited about your sponsorship than you. So it sounds like this. And the way the sponsorship works is for every 50 sponsors I get, the company gives me $150 in free Cutco. And I could use that to sell, to pay for books and school supplies. And all you have to do to be a sponsor is just get to this first level at 10. And I point to a 10 that's highlighted. And if you get to 20 and point to the 20, you become a double sponsor and count twice towards the sponsorship. So that's why you got to have that 20 filled out. Now, if you're not in school, what else can you do with $150 in Cutco? You could say, which shows I get $150 in free Cutco. That's how I add more supplies to my sample set. So that way I could show more Cutco, which helps me a ton. You could say, I get $150 in free Cutco. And what I'm going to do is, because I can only get that with people helping me, I'm going to raffle that off to every person that becomes a sponsor. Whatever you want to do. It's up to you. I always said school and book supplies because that's when I was selling in school. After I was done with school, I used that to add more supplies to my sample set. Someone came up with the raffle idea. I love the idea. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do with your $150 in Cutco. And just so you know, you can win that up to 3 times a year. So that's $450 in free Cutco as long as you get 50 sponsors per semester. So that would be a very good goal to shoot for, is 50 sponsors per semester. How do you get 50 sponsors? If you just did 50 demos for 14 weeks, that's less than 5 a week. If you could just get 5 sponsors a week, you're going to be there every semester. So set that as a great goal. So get excited about that sponsorship. The next one is key number. This would be key number 6. Pass the sheet with confidence. So you pass the sheet with confidence. So you get to 20, become a double sponsor, and count twice there as a sponsorship. So here's a pen, and I'll hold the pen out until they grab it from me. Here's a pen, and I flip past my 20. And when I flip past my 20, there's only going to be one of 2 options: a blank sheet of paper or another 20. I'm going to flip past another 20. And then my other option is there's only going to be one of 2 options: a blank sheet of paper or another 20. 10 at least. 10 at least. So the only thing that my customer is going to get a chance to see is blank sheet of paper or a list filled out. So make sure then you pass them the pen and you pass them the sheet of paper with confidence. And if you want to pass them 2 sheets, that's a hot move too. And then you break eye contact is my last key. You break eye contact to say, so Ms. Jones, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. You connect and make a lot of eye contact. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your like piercing eye contact with genuine sincerity and appreciation. And then you break that eye contact and start doing whatever the hell you're doing. And start cleaning up. If it's a virtual demo, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. And I have a pen and I have this sheet of paper in front of me. So go ahead and put me on speakerphone and just scroll through your contacts. Same concept. Put them into action is essentially what that key is. Put them into action. So far, and then I'm going to wrap up with some 5 follow-up steps. But so far, we went through 3 keys to building rapport and dropping seed plants during the demo. We said the rapport seed plants of how you got introduced to them. We said the sponsorship seed plants of the sponsorship. We said the DSA seed plants. That's how it's everything's through word of mouth. Then I give you 2 really good phrases that you could use as well. Then I just give you 7 steps and 7 keys to the recommendation approach of getting the yes. Do you remember? With a head nod. Very, really, might. Land the joke. Have your binder set up with 20s. Excitement for the sponsorship. Pass the pen and paper with confidence. Think them and be genuine, and then break that eye contact and clean up and put them into action. Now we're going to go into the follow-up keys. So however many recommendations they give you, I have 5 keys to help you get more and also qualify your list. So number 1 on getting more, ignore whatever your customer says. So if your customer says, oh, I can't think of any more, that's all I could think of, ignore them. If a customer ever says, oh, I can't really think of anyone right now, sweetie, that's not them saying, hey, I need you to come rescue me. How do I know this? It's because I invented this. When I used to play video games, I would be like, I can't beat this guy. That wasn't me asking for someone to help me beat this guy. It wasn't a cry for help. What it was me saying to myself, how can I beat this guy? So I actually didn't want help. So I was just talking to myself. So when a customer says, oh, I can't think of anyone right now, what they're really doing is they're asking themselves, who can I think of right now? They don't need you to come rescue them. They need you to ignore them and let them come up with their own ideas. So I ignore them, at least for a few seconds until if they say it again. So if they say, I really can't think of anyone right now, wait maybe 5 seconds, like almost ignore like you didn't even hear them. So if we had a role play, so it's like I'll role play with myself. Thank you so much. Put down as many as you can. I appreciate it. Oh, I really can't think of anyone right now, Mike. Ignore. And if she doesn't put that pen to that paper in about 10 seconds, I'm just like looking at the corner of my eye. I'm by the sink at this point. I'm cleaning up my Cutco. By the way, just the nicest people you know, whoever works and eats. That might be the only thing I say. Just the nicest people you know. Whoever works and eats might be the only thing I say, if I say anything at all. So key number one is to getting more is ignore them. Ignore them. Let them think. If they think out loud, that's cool. I do that all the time. If you're taking a test and you're like, oh my God, I can't figure out this answer. You're not asking the teacher to come to rescue you to help solve that problem for you. You know, especially the ladies. You ever have a problem and your gentleman tries to help you solve that problem? And you're like, I didn't want your help. I just wanted you to hear me. You know, that's kind of what's happening, especially most of our customers are females as it is. So you don't need to rescue them. They're just talking to themselves. So that's number one, to get more. Number two, thank them for whatever they give you. So after they're done crying for help and they give you that sheet back, no matter how many are on that sheet, they might give you that sheet back with 4. I was the master of going from 4 to 10. Master. It wasn't like they gave me 10 every time, right? So how do you go from 4 to 10? You thank them for what they just gave you. Thank you so much for this list. That's key number one. Thank them. Number two, ask about those people. So most people go like this. Thank you for this list. Is there any way you could think of a few more? That's like someone gives you a gift, right? They give you a favor and you're like, yeah, this is good, but could you do better? Think about how that would make you feel, right? Or you're like, what the hell? That's like selfish, right? Right? So what you want to sound like it like this. Oh my God, thank you so much for these 4 people. Who are they? How do you know them? Oh, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Oh, cool. Are they nice? They are nice? Oh, that sounds great. Thank you so much for giving me nice people. I'm really looking forward to introducing myself to these. Then you then say what you wanted to say, which is, you're only 6 away from a sponsorship. Is there any way you can maybe take one more look through your cell phone and see if there's 6 other nice people? Again, not necessarily people they're going to buy, just people who might possibly take a look. That would be the phrase. So what's the process? Thank them for what they gave you. Ask about them, like, are they nice? And then ask for more under that umbrella. Work them up to 10. Oh, you got 6 more? Oh, you're at 10. You're the best. Oh my gosh. I can't thank you enough. Now, Ms. Jones, now that you gave me 10 people that live locally, here's another sheet. Can you think of 10 people that don't live locally, that live out of area? Because I could do an appointment anywhere in the world. Really? I didn't know that. I know. So now you could become a double sponsor very easily. Who do you know lives in California? Who do you know lives in a different time zone? You know, and then work it that way. Key number 3 to once you already get your list is qualifying your list. The power of qualifying, it only takes maybe an extra few minutes, but it saves you a ton later. You want to know there's a few letters. I call them MART-C. MART-C. M-A-R-T-C. M-A-R-T-C. I want to know, are they married? And if so, I want the husband's name. And I want to know if they have kids, and I want to know the kids' names too. That allows me to build tremendous rapport when I'm booking up the appointment in the future. So for example, I want to know if their husband's name and if they have kids. So when I'm doing my phone calls later, I could say, hey, Miss Jones, or Mr. Jones answer the phone. Hey, is this Jim? Hey, Jim, this is Mike Abramowitz. I was over at Susie Davis's house. I was looking for Jennifer. Is she there? Or is she with Susan? And is she with little Susie and Johnny? Well, she is with Susie and Johnny, but I could grab her for you. I sound like a friend of the family because I know all of their names. So knowing their names makes phone time in the future very easy. So I want to know if they're married. And if they are, I want to know the husband's name and the kids' names. M. A. That's area. I want to know what area they live. I want to know what area they live. I want to know for driving purposes so I could book up my day and stack my appointments in the same area. Or if it's going to be virtuals, I also want to know what sides of town they're going to be on. Area. M-A-R. R is relationship. I want to know as much about the relationship as possible. Like, now I'm not saying I want to know if it's a friend. I want to know, how did you meet this person? I want to know a fun fact about this person. So R for relationship. Oh, this is your friend from work? And where do you work? Oh, cool. What is her position? Oh, nice. And she's pretty nice. Awesome. A friend from church. Oh, nice. Has she been going to church for a long time? Yeah, awesome. And is she involved in anything in the church? Oh, she's the one that's always in charge of the baked goods. Oh, that's pretty good to know, right? So, like, I want to know more about the relationship. Like, one extra question. What's one fun fact I should know about them? What's a funny memory you both had? Anything I could do to get in the relationship. So when I'm doing my phone time later, hey, Miss Davis, this is Mike Brown. So I was over at your friend Susie's house. It was funny. We actually got to talking. Did she tell you I was going to call you? No, she didn't. It was funny. We got to talking, and she was telling me about all the baked goods that you bring to the church. How you're like the queen of baked goods for the church. It almost convinced me to want to come to your church on Sunday so I can try some of your baked goods. And then you'd be like, oh, stop it. Or she'd be like, oh my God, absolutely, come over. It's like, I'll come, but you have to give me the recipe. She said, you will give me the recipe. Oh, fine. Well, I know it's kind of random, but I just had a favor to ask you. 10 out of 10 times you're booking up that demo because you qualified the list and you could establish a connection over the phone with them. So R for relationship, MAR. T is time of day. Time of day. I want to know, are they home during the day or are they working during the day? So I usually label it as a D. That means they could be doing a demo during the day, especially when it was a busy schedule. Like I had sometimes a gap in my schedule where I could do like a 4-hour gap where I could do 1 or 2 daytime appointments depending on where they live. So if I knew the area and I knew they were home during the day and they weren't too far from campus, I could slide in an extra 1 or 2 appointments if I knew where they lived and I knew they were available during the day. So D for day. And if I ask, like, could they possibly be home during the day? Oh, yeah, they could be home during the day. Oh, what do they do for work? Oh, they're an at-home mom. Awesome. That's why we call our homemaker set a homemaker, right? Because it's another word for an at-home mom, right? I want to know, oh, she home during the day? Oh, she's a real estate agent. See, she might be good during the day. Great. That's probably good to know. Why? So when I'm asking for recommendations and I'm meeting her, I could say, Ms. Jones, by the way, I know you're a real estate agent. I meet about 10 people in your target demographic a week. So when I come over and do an appointment with you, give me a couple of your business cards. And if I see anyone that's looking to buy or sell, I'll be sure to give you some recommendations too. You bet your butt you're getting a demo with her too, because it could potentially give her business. So think like a smart business person when you're qualifying recommendations. So MART is time of day, and then C, that means do they like to cook? So are they big cookers? I want to know, do they like to cook for C? Do they like nice things, stuff like that. MARTC, MART C, or C MART, whatever you want to call it. But those are the letters in the acronym that I used to use to qualify my recommendations, and I wouldn't leave until I had those questions answered. So that's qualifying the list. My last 2 quick points is to make sure that they get a text message heads up. And that sounds like this. Ms. Jones, thank you so much for these 10 recommendations and spending time getting me introduced to them, and so I know a little bit more about them. I just feel it's a lot more polite and a little bit more courteous if they have a heads up. So I'm going to send you a text message. Can we just get that text forwarded to them real fast? In fact, I could do it for you real quick. It'll only take me a minute. And I extend my hand. I can do it for you real quick. Then I send a text to her phone, get the text, and then I copy paste and send a text message to each of those people on that list. So they have a heads up from the customer's phone right then and there. And if they're in a rush, at least get their top 3 texted. Can we just text your top three real quick? Because that way when you get into the car in your driveway, in their driveway, you then send a text to the friend saying, hey, Miss Jackie, this is Jessica, the scholarship student that was just over at so-and-so's house. I didn't want to interrupt anything, but I wanted to give you a call. Do you think I could shoot a call to you at Wednesday night at 7 p.m.? Awesome. I'll call you then. And you could give them a heads up. So how easy and efficient does phone time become when the recommendations already have a heads up you're going to call them? And the very last one, number 5, is asking them for a Facebook post. So the transition here is, Ms. Jones, you have no idea how much you helped me with my appointment so far and with everything. I find a lot of people have a lot more friends on Facebook and social media than they do in their cell phone. Is that true for you too? Yeah. So what a lot of customers do is they'll take like a quick selfie with me and they'll just put a post up on Facebook, and they'll put just a little saying something like, "This is my new friend Mike. He's a really hardworking student, and I just did an appointment with him. If you'd be nice enough to do an appointment, like or comment below." Would you be nice enough to put that on your Facebook just to see if any of your Facebook friends might know somebody or might be nice enough to help out too? It would mean a ton. It would mean the world to me. And if you have Rapport, she'll be like, "Of course." Boom, selfie, boom. Then it's like, we have to be Facebook friends too. So you send a friend request, boom. Then you send her a message, copy paste in the Facebook Messenger. Then she has that, and you say, "Cool." Post a selfie, post a message, screenshot, send it to me, or you send a screenshot and send it to the WhatsApp group. So that way we have social proof. So that is my recommendations workshop. I gave you 3 keys for before when they start the presentation, 7 keys of the rec approach itself, and then 5 keys once you get a list of recommendations. Those 5 keys after you get the recommendations is ignore them. It's not a cry for help. Number 2 is thank them for what they gave you. Ask about those people and then ask for more. Number 3, qualify your list. Number 4, get the heads up text message sent out. And number 5 is get that Facebook sent. So that's the recommendations workshop, and hopefully you guys get some value. So real quick, any light bulbs on that, Jess?
Yeah, so definitely going and finding out about the people on the list. I've been having a lot of people I go to that are I definitely would not be at the top of my list, and I didn't really take the time to ask about them and to find out. And not only would it make it easier and let me know who I'm about to go in front of, but it would also make the phone call so much easier because I know about them. So it's not weird. I'm not calling them and they're like, "Oh, that's so odd. How did she get my number?"
Yep. And the number one reason why students don't ask these questions, because they're like, "I was already here for an hour. I already did this presentation. I already got their credit card number. Oh my God, I don't want to be a nuisance." If you just get good at this and stop those stories playing in your head, it takes like 6 to 8 minutes. 6 to 8 minutes to do all of that extra stuff to save you 6 to 8 hours of doing poor quality demos, of having phone time, crappy phone jams with people not answering their phones. I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 minutes to save you 6 to 8 hours of driving around and doing lower quality demos.
Yeah.
And lower quality phone time. Great, great point.
These things I was doing, but by combining some of the things that you said, it makes it like triple fold. So like I was planting the seed early, right? But I would just touch on it and then keep going. So trying to be a little more intending, right? A little more
intentional, yeah.
Harder, yeah, intentional. So that's something that was good. Who are these people? That's such a great way to keep engaging them on that sheet. I would say, "Oh gosh, that's really great." And I kind of push it back and say, "If there's any way you could just give me a few more, it would really help me out," that kind of thing. But to ask about them, so good. Oh,
yeah.
That's so. And some of them might have volunteered. "Oh, she likes to bake," or "He's got a family." But unless they, volunteered it, I wouldn't really ask those things. So that's awesome.
Engage in them. Yep, that's great. Just like asking for the gift. Like someone gives you a gift and you're like, "That's it? That's all you gave me?" You use that as an understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So excellent. Well, I'm glad you got some value. I'm going to stop the recording now.